How do everyone, and welcome back to Royville Reads. My name is Stefan. So I'm not a huge fan of manga. I There is one that I really enjoy, and it is Vinland Saga. If you know anything about me, I am thoroughly into Scandinavian history, and it is about that. I'll do a video on it someday. But one of the ones that I read, even though I didn't really realize at the time what manga was this one, Lone Wolf and Cub. Man, this thing's heavy. Um, I was always a fan of Kurosawa films. Really like Yojimbo and Sanjuro. The uh, Seven Samurai, and just all that kind of stuff. And I really enjoyed that. And then I found, so this is a manga, obviously from Japan. I think it was released in like a magazine in like the 1970s, maybe 1970 to 1976. Not exactly sure. Please do not quote me on that. But it was brought over to the United States, I think originally by Frank Miller. Yes, that Frank Miller. He brought it over, and it was First Comics, I believe. They had done kind of trade paperback size, and he had done the covers for him. I guess he really liked it, and so that's where I was originally kind of brought into this world of Lone Wolf and Cub, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I got a lot of the trades, but then I found out that they were coming out with these deluxe editions, and I had to pick them up. They are beautiful. There's the it's almost like a leather hardcover. You can see here, and I'm going to butcher their names. I sincerely apologize. The writer, Kazuo Koike, and then the artist, Goseki Kojima. And and I think they pretty much did the whole run, just them two. But yeah, so this is a massive tome. Um, there are smaller books, kind of like the manga size books, and this covers like those books, like the first, second, and a little bit of the third one. And so yeah, let's get into it. Uh, so the story is about Lone Wolf. His name is Ogami Ito, and he was the shogun's executioner. So in like the 1700s, I think it is, the shogun had like these three orders. There was like the assassins, the spies, and the executioner. And what Agami Ito did was, if someone was called to be executed or they had to commit seppuku, he would be there to kind of finish the job. It was a very like honor bound title. It wasn't like some like dark, sinister style thing. Granted, you probably never wanted to see the executioner, but yeah, that was his job. Well, he decided that he did not want to do that anymore. And he had a child. Something had happened to the mother. I think she just kind of died. I'm not can't remember if they actually talk about that in this volume, but he had a son named Daigoro. And so the main characters are Ogami Ito and Daigoro. And you can see them kind of here on the cover. And It's basically, the book is basically about their wanderings. Every chapter in the book is kind of a separate story where they are hired. He now that he is not a executioner for the shogun, he is a ronin. He is a samurai ronin that is an assassin. He has decided to take the way of the assassin. And this book, there's a lot. I would not suggest this book for children or young people. There is nudity in it, there's sex in it, there is extreme violence in it because he's an assassin. Um, and it's also black and white. Let me show you, like, yeah, so here is just kind of what it, I mean, it's very, I mean, manga, if you are aware of manga. Here is also like another, it's a good picture of Ogami Ito, and then his son Daigoro there. It's basically just about his wanderings, his jobs that he takes on, whether it be to assassinate high-ranking officials, bandits. At one point, he's hired to assassinate these 7 women who are warriors in some way. All of those are really interesting. He kind of gets into, or the book kind of gets into some political maneuverings by different Hans, lands, political structure, different Hans, and he's kind of in the middle of it because one of them is hiring them to assassinate the other one. But he still kind of follows that Bushido way. He always has to have the money up front, it seems. He's very honorable in his way. So he still like has his code. He still follows his code very stringently, but he is an assassin. One of the main things I think is really interesting is his relationship with his son. His son follows, it is Lone Wolf and Cub, and actually when there are rumors about them, when they gain reputation, they are a unit. The assassin is called Lone Wolf and Cub. It is not just the Lone Wolf. It is not just Ogami Ito. It is, oh no, here comes the Lone Wolf and Cub. The assassin does not separate them, or the people in knowing about this assassin does not separate them. They are one thing, which I thought was really interesting. Not only that, but you could probably tell in like modern times that Ogami Ito is a horrible father because he brings them to assassinations. He kind of trains his son. He uses his son as bait sometimes. But there is a Daigoro has chosen this life. As a side note, you cannot tell me that the Mandalorian and Grogu is not a direct kind of this. They did not take this idea directly from Lone Wolf and Cub. I know it's kind of a trope now, the warrior and the young child, like the professional, reminds me of that with Natalie Portman, I think it was. She was in that, or Keira Knightley. Anyway, so I know it's kind of a trope, but this is the wandering warrior with the young child doing things for money that are untoward. I mean, Mandalorian directly, like, there's even a scene in here. Now, this is where I was getting to he chose this. There's a scene where Ogami Ito has I think a toy and a sword, and he has the boy choose. He has his son choose, which do you want to follow this path with me, or you want to be a kid? And so he kind of chooses, and he chooses the sword. So he wants to follow his father on this way of the assassin. In my opinion, it is a direct analogy to the scene in The Mandalorian where Luke Skywalker is in front of Grogu, the child, and he's like, here's a lightsaber, and here's like the helmet or blaster or I can't remember what the other thing was, and Grogu had to choose which one he wanted. It is a direct link to Lone Wolf and Cobb. Um, it is just a very good. If you're into Kurosawa films, if you're into the samurai way, if you're into like strong, I guess male dominated testosterone style stories, this is right up your alley. Like I said, it is very lethal. Let me see if I can quickly find a place where there's also, like I said, I think there's also nudity. This isn't a book for kids. Gosh, there's so much death, and I can't. The one time I'm looking for it, I cannot find it. But that being said, there is a lot of small moments in this where it made me think. There is a lot of talk about why he's chosen or if he should have chosen this path. And Ogami Ito firmly believes that, he's on the road to hell. He is on the path to hell. It's actually a thing in here. It's I can't remember what it's called, like Mia Fujamu. I can't really remember how to pronounce it. But yeah, so there's a lot of kind of Japanese tradition and mysticism. There's a story in here about how to do this thing, he has to kill the living Buddha. And there's a lot of stuff centered around him, why he does what he does, why he thinks the way he does, and that's really interesting. So it's not just a bunch of fighting, because obviously I've been going through this thing for a minute and I haven't found one good like area that there we go. Okay. So like this. And sometimes for me, it's even hard to describe or to see what's going on here. But you can see like legs being severed, arms being severed, and a whirlwind of death from Ogami Ito. So just so you know that is part of this book. But yeah, like I said, it is kind of hard with the black and white. I really love Kojima's art here, but it is kind of hard to tell when the swords start flying and it's black and white and blood, a lot of blood on the page. It's kind of hard to tell what's actually happening. I mean, obviously, Ogami Ito is killing some fools, but how he's actually doing it's kind of hard to gauge what's actually going on. But other than that this is an amazing read, an amazing story. It's 700 some pages, and I probably read it all in all. I read it over 2 days, but I probably read it all in all in like 4 hours, and that's because I read slowly. If for a normal person, it's probably like 2 hours, but it is so good, and I strongly recommend it. This is volume 1. I already have volume 2. Probably going to read that soon-ish. But yeah, that is my review of Lone Wolf and Cub. Thanks, everybody. And if you've gotten this far, since it's a manga, comic book-like, remember what your mom always said. If you gotta be a dick, be a Grayson. Have a good night.